Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the Face Yoga Expert podcast. And this week is a solo episode, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my foot surgery healing and all the holistic techniques I have used. And I'm sure if you're listening, you're not recovering from foot surgery, but there may be some tips within here that you can integrate into your own healing journey, but just into your life in general. Now, if you don't know about my foot surgery, I'll give you a little bit of a background and then we'll get into everything that I've been doing in the healing process. In August 2022, I woke up one day, we're in the middle of a heat wave, with a really bruised and swollen foot. Now, the day before, I'd been walking around in sort of like flip-flop type shoes. I don't remember having a particular injury or trauma or hurting myself in any way that day. But I woke up and it felt like I had almost like a rock underneath my skin, underneath my big toe. And it was just bruising up, and I could see the bruising happening in front of my eyes. And that day we were on our way to holiday down in Devon. And any of you that don't know, my family and Bruce's family all live in Devon. Bruce and I both grew up in Devon. So we were going there for a 2-week holiday. Anyhow, I had this really, really sore, swollen foot. So we thought, right, let's get in the car. I put my foot up. We went in. Bruce has got a van, an electric van. So I was able to go sort of more in the back of that with my foot up, which was amazing. Anyway, so we got there and I thought, okay, I better go into a doctor's. There's a minor injuries clinic there. So I went into that. They had a little look at it. They didn't know what it was. Then another doctor came to look at it. They didn't know what it was. So they pretty much just said, just ice it, elevate it, do what you can. So I had a little bit of a restrictive holiday, that holiday. Anyhow, it didn't really go away. It didn't really go down. So then probably 3 or 4 weeks later, I decided to go and see a podiatrist about it. And they sent me for a scan. And the first thing they saw in the scan was an adventitial bursa, so a really swollen bursa, so basically a fluid-filled sac. So they showed me how to offload my foot with chiropody felt. So I wasn't putting all the pressure on that sort of area under my big toe. They told me to wear a particular type of very thick sole trainers, both in the house and outside the house, which is what I did. And I was able to get around fine by doing that. As time went on, it still didn't go, and I was going back to the podiatrist. I think the next thing that we did was get me a custom-made insole to try and offload some of the pain I was feeling underneath the big toe, because from that day, August 2022, I hadn't been able to, and still not able to, walk barefoot. I always need something very, very padded underneath my foot. So I had these custom-made insoles, which I had put in both my indoor trainers and then in outdoor trainers as well. And again, it didn't get better. And then I was referred to a podiatrist consultant, and she said, well, I think we need to get it x-rayed, and then I think we need to get an MRI. So we had the x-ray. They saw that one of my little sesamoid bones, so one of the small bones in my big toe, was completely fractured. They call it bipartite. So they said it either has always been like that all my life, or it happened on that day where I had the trauma. So we had the bursa, which was very inflamed and big, which basically feels like a stone underneath your foot the whole time. I had this sesamoid bone, which was fractured. Then eventually I went for an MRI scan, and they saw, yes, the bursa. They saw, yes, the fractured sesamoid bone. They also saw ligament damage in there as well. And there was lots of other sort of inflammation and issues that they saw. So in the end, they said, okay, maybe you need to have a little chat to a surgeon, because it'd been about 18 months of pretty much not being able to walk barefoot. So most days I would have to wake up and straight away put on a really thick sole cushion trainer just to get to the toilet in the morning, because it would be so painful to walk barefoot and it was so swollen underneath my foot. So I spoke to the surgeon and he said it's probably 50-50 whether the op would work. And I went away and I thought about it. And actually what I did was I went into my gut instinct about it. And my gut instinct said, Danielle, go for it. Now, any of you that know me, you'll know that I always try to go for a natural, holistic approach. And, needless to say, over the last few years, as well as this medical route, I have done many things. I've done acupuncture, I've done chiropractor, I've done homeopathy. There's so many different things I have done. And the surgeon even said to me, look, if you want to try a few other things using like an ultrasound, you could use electromagnetic sort of like a stimulating mat to put your feet on, try that. So I was trying all these things, literally did a big order on Amazon and got all these different tools and everything, because he said, look, we can operate on this, but it is 50-50. And as I said, I went into my gut instinct and thought, you know what, I need to give this a try, because even if it doesn't work, even if I'm back to where I was in the first place, at least I know, at least I've given this last resort a try. So I had the op eventually in February, which was crazy to me because every single, I guess, significant thing to do with my health seems to happen in February. And I remember saying this to my acupuncturist in February. I was saying, when I was 21, actually it was on my 22nd birthday in the end, when I was diagnosed with ME. Obviously, I completely recovered from that. You guys know the story about that. But so many different things. I found out I was pregnant with Lucia on my birthday, which is 23rd of February. I found out I was pregnant with one of the babies I miscarried on 23rd of February, my birthday. I had my first iron infusion in February. I mean, literally, it's always February. And I remember saying this to my acupuncturist and saying, I just got a real feeling I'm going to have my op this month. And she said, surely the waiting list is going to be many, many months. I said, I don't know. I have a feeling I'm going to have this in February, which will mean within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have this. Anyway, with that, I had a phone call during my acupuncture appointment. Usually I wouldn't answer it, but I answered it. And they said, you're going to have your op on the 28th of February, which was just crazy, but my intuition knew. And we went to Cape Verde. We had a lovely holiday in Cape Verde the week before that, so during February half term. And I did quite a lot of healing during that holiday. I did these very early morning sessions with this amazing healer on the beach, and it was open to everyone in the hotel, but I was the only one that turned up. Needless to say, nobody else on their holiday wanted to be on the beach at 8:30 in the morning doing healing, qigong and meditation. But for me, this is like the dream. So I pretty much had one-to-one, and we were working massively on my foot area, and I was barefoot on the sand. So I was doing a lot of grounding practice, and I felt so comfortable walking barefoot on this powdery, gorgeous sand. And bear in mind, it'd been nearly 2 years since I'd been able to walk barefoot at all. So it felt so freeing just to be able to walk around barefoot. Did so much healing, about an hour and a half, 3 times, I think, in that week. Crazy. After that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is less pain than I have been in for 18 months. And this was only a couple of days before my op. And I'm telling you now, I was so close to cancelling my op because I felt more comfortable in my foot than I had for so long. And I really believe that the healing waters in Cape Verde, so the island we're in is called Sal, which means salt. And they say that the healing waters there are very salty. And also the lady that was doing the healing sessions was talking a lot about how healing the earth is underneath the sand. And I really, really felt that. And I think it was partially that and partially literally my mind was playing tricks on me. It knew it was going in for this op. So it's like, I'm going to heal it. I also knew if I cancelled the op a day or two before, I would have to go through this whole process of seeing a podiatrist, seeing a consultant, having a consultation with a surgeon, booking a surgery date, waiting until one was available again. And if it was just a fluke that in those few days before the op, I was feeling better, and then say I cancelled the op and a week later I was in really bad pain like I'd been for the last year and a half, I would have been really gutted if I cancelled the op. So I thought, you know what? let's do the op. Let's see what's in there, because that's what the surgeon said to me. He said, to be honest with you, even though you've had all these scans and x-rays and everything, we're not really going to know what's happened until we get in there. So I thought, let's do it, because if I had healed myself through my mind, through this healing sand, through this healing water, then I could do that again anyway. So I thought, right, let's do the op. So I had the op at the end of February, and the day I'm recording this podcast is 17th of May. So we're coming up to 3 months now. So it has been quite a while. Now, the journey has been an interesting one for sure. And let me say this, I am healing every day. Absolutely. Am I back to the position I was before the op? Now, I'm not talking about those really good few days before the op. I'm talking about the sort of 18 months prior to the op. No. I'm still not able to walk around barefoot. I'm still in pain underneath my foot. So everything I had prior to the op is still there. But plus now I have a 4-inch scar, which of course I'm doing lots of healing on. And I have swelling all over the top of my foot as well. So at the moment, yes, I'm in a worse position than I was pre-op. However, I do feel like there's progress in healing from the operation every day. And I do feel like I'm going to push through the threshold of healing from the op, getting back to where I was pre-op, and then healing from then. So what did the surgeon say to me after he'd done the op? Well, he said he'd removed the bursa, so that's that fluid-filled sac. He had opened up the joint and the capsule of the joint, which I'm not entirely sure what that means, but he seemed to think that that was very important and needed. And what he said to me was also very, very surprising. He said something which all of those scans and x-rays and MRIs had not shown up was that my nerve, so the plantar digital nerve in my foot, was in completely the wrong position. So rather than going down my foot, I believe maybe down the side of my foot, it was almost going in a diagonal across and underneath my foot and across this little fracture bone that I had. So no doubt that is what was causing a lot of the pain. So what he did is he put the nerve back into its position it should be in, pinned it back there. So a lot he did within my foot. Now, bear in mind also, a foot is something you're on all the time. And although I did have crutches sporadically, he pretty much wanted me to weight bear from day one on it. So it wasn't like I have been able to completely take all the pressure off it, but followed instructions. Now, of course, the first, I would say 6 weeks I was pretty much immobile, and I didn't feel like I made much progress for those 6 weeks, to be completely honest with you. I sort of felt like it was not going anywhere. I was in pain. It was all very much bandaged up, like the thickest bandage and a splint in there and everything. So it was very difficult to get around. I had like a medical boot that I had to wear. So nothing really felt comfortable in that time, and I was pretty much in a lot of pain. Now, I was told by the surgeon and by a lot of people, take painkillers, don't just get through the pain, take painkillers. Now, this is definitely not to show off or say it's the right thing, and everyone is very different, but what I decided to do was just to take 2 paracetamols every night before bed, because it was so painful. I knew I wouldn't be able to get to sleep unless I just softened the pain a little bit, and that's what I decided to do. Now, to be honest with you, 2 painkillers a day for probably 11 weeks felt a lot for me. And I know some of you listening might be thinking, Danielle, that's like nothing. After a major foot surgery where you've been under general anaesthetic and someone slice your foot open, remove things, move things, change bones, change nerves, all of that. 2 painkillers a day for that long is not much. Whereas other people will listen to this and go, 2 painkillers a day, so that is a lot of strain on your liver. So everyone is very, very different. And I just think you shouldn't have to suffer unless you really, really need to. And that's what painkillers are for, to help you when you need it. And I knew that I would be fine to deal with the pain in the day with breath work, with mindset work. But actually at night, it's really important for me to get my sleep, not only to be the best mum I could be, to be able to be the best teacher, facilitator, businesswoman that I could be every day, but also for my healing as well. So that's why I decided to have the painkillers every night. So for, two a day, I would say for probably 10 or 11 weeks. So the point I'm at now is good. I am able to drive now. I'm able to walk, but I have to wear a very sort of thick-soled, wide, pretty yucky looking sandal. Currently, I can't fit in any of my shoes. It's crazy because I was so annoyed that for the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, I haven't been able to wear anything but a trainer. Even if I was going to a nice event, I'd have to wear a trainer because I couldn't put on any sort of strappy sandals or high heels or, ballet flats or anything like that. But I'm at the position now where I do anything to put a trainer on. So that's the downside. I'm having to still wear a very thick-soled, wide sandal because my foot is still very swollen. And I'm having to wear quite a big dressing over the scar because else the sandal very much rubs on the scar, which is really uncomfortable even for a second or two. So I'm going around with quite a big plaster on my foot and quite an ugly sandal. But the upside about it is I'm able to walk. And actually last week and this week, there's been a couple of days where I've actually done 10,000 steps. And if any of you know that 10,000 steps is my big thing, that's what I try and aim for every day. Not sort of consciously going, I have to do more steps, but walking is so important to me. So 10,000 steps a day is important. So I have done some days like that, which is really good progress for me, but I am still trying to elevate it when I can because I realize that it still needs rest, still needs healing. It is still swollen. And something which I have started doing, which isn't actually on my list of things which I'm going to talk you through, but I'm going to go and do this actually after the podcast. I've been putting my foot just in the bath with just cold water in there. And I found that feels really, really good for it. So the cold water therapy, just taking down some of that swelling. So I'm actually going to do that in a minute. But anyhow, let's get into some of the holistic techniques I have been doing to really help my healing. Okay, so the first thing, of course, I have been doing is yoga and face yoga. So my face yoga, I have been continuing every day. That's been super easy. Even in the very early days where I was just lying or sitting, I was able to do my face yoga every day. And funnily enough, and I can't remember if I said this last time I chatted about it on the podcast, but after I came out of the general anaesthetic, you sort of have to lie there for quite a bit, of course, and you're not given your phone or anything like that. You literally just have to lie there. And I remember feeling really, really cold after the general anaesthetic. So really, really shivering cold. And they did give me a blanket, but still wasn't really warming me up. I was just doing sort of like deep breathing. They removed the oxygen mask from me, so I was able to do deep breathing. And then I thought, I'm going to do some acupressure points on my face. So as I was lying there, I was going through each of the key acupressure points. And then a nurse walked past, and it wasn't the nurse that had been treating me. And she looked at me and she went, "Have you just come out of general anaesthetic?" And I said, "Yeah." She went, "You look fantastic." And it did make me giggle because, of course, I had no makeup on. I had a medical gown on, but I had done about 5 to 10 minutes of face yoga. So that made me giggle. I feel like if you can look good after general anaesthetic with 5 or 10 minutes of face yoga, then it can help you at any time. And yoga I've been doing as well. So that has been super helpful for me. In the very early days, I was just sat in bed doing shoulder and neck rolls. When I could sit up, I'd do like little sitting spinal twists, which was wonderful. And then as I started to heal, so probably after like about a month, I was able to lie down on my mat and do a few things. Sometimes I'd lie on my back on the floor with my legs sort of hooked up on the bed, and I would do some like tummy strengthening exercises. As my plaster came off, I've been able to do more and more. I've started to go to yoga class now, but super gentle. So there's still things I can't do. I still can't do things like a plank position, of course, but I haven't been able to do that for quite a while anyway because of that flexion of the foot. There's other things I can't do, like weight bearing on one foot. But I have been doing yoga every day, which has been fantastic. I've also been given exercises from the physio, which is great. So things like putting a towel on the floor, scrunching up my toe, pulling the towel towards me with my toe, doing sort of flexion up onto my toe and then onto my heel and going back and forth with that, rotating my toe. So sort of putting my leg in the air and using my big toe to sort of draw letters of the alphabet in the air. So all those things have been super helpful for me. Next thing I've done is homeopathy. So it's a variety of things I've done. Now I'm going to try and remember all of them. I've used a cream called Traumeel. So that's TRAUMEEL, I believe. And this is something my acupuncturist Mel recommended for me. And I've been rubbing that on my foot and on my scar. It's got arnica in it and other anti-inflammatory homeopathy, which has been great. I've also been using, I'm going to have to try and remember. Oh, I've got it here, guys. Hold on a second. It's called Ruta ointment. So RUTA, Ruta ointment. And it is a homeopathic tincture for the symptomatic relief of sprains. So I've been using that on it as well. I also, straight after my surgery, my friend Miranda Holder, if you don't already follow her on Instagram, she's great. She's a fashionista, but very sort of wellness and holistic. So as soon as I had my surgery, she said, contact Ainsworth and ask them to make you the surgery mix. And you actually take those orally. So I use those as well. Again, they contain arnica. I've also done arnica tablets as well to take down some of that initial bruising. So of course it was super bruised right at the beginning. So homeopathy has been really helpful. I've also been doing some rapid tapping. So very much based on emotional freedom technique. Another lovely friend of mine, Poppy Delbridge, she has got a rapid tapping app and she's also got a really good book. And I have been doing sort of tapping. And the reason I've been doing tapping is to clear a lot of blocks. So I've been doing a lot of mindset work and I particularly did that. I haven't been doing so much the last few weeks, but I particularly did that about a month ago. I really threw myself into it during April and I started to clear through lots of the emotions that were linked to my foot. So why did this happen in the first place? What emotions or trauma were linked to it? And then now looking at why is it healing in the way it's healing, both the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just trying to work through some of those traumas. And I find the emotional freedom techniques really good for that, bringing up to the surface what traumas and emotions are there, and then helping you to clear them. The other thing I did this straight away, actually, after the op. So I think for the first day or two, I was just watching Netflix. And then I was like, no, I can't be doing this for weeks on end. I want to use this time to really learn something, but just stay still as well. So for ages, I have been wanting to do the human design course with Jenna Zoe. So the level 1 practitioner, which allows you to do human design readings for people. And although I'm not planning to do one-to-one readings for people, I really wanted to have more knowledge in human design. And anyone that's done my business course bundle will know I talk about human design there. And I kept saying, look, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not an expert, but if you know your human design, this is going to help you in your business. This is going to help you in your life. So I wanted to become a little bit more of an expert in it. So I took her online training course for the level 1 human design. And that was super helpful. That helped me really understand more about me as a person. It really helped me understand more about Bruce and Lucia and Lilia and just really understanding who they are as a soul level as well. And if you don't know about human design, go check out myhumandesign.com by Jenna Zoe. And Jenna has been on the podcast many years ago, actually. I would say 3 or 4 years ago. And she's fantastic. She's one of the best in the industry. Also, Erin Claire Jones is really, really good as well. When I did her training, I really started to understand myself as a generator, a 5-1 generator, and how I can now go forward in my life. So as I'm healing my foot, by truly being myself, because that's the thing with human design. It looks at your birth date, your birth time, your birth location, and it gives you that unique blueprint for how you should be living your life. So very similar to what astrology does, but it's got other aspects in it as well. And the more we can understand ourselves as completely unique individuals and live that way, the better our life is going to be, and definitely the better our healing is going to be as well. I've been using affirmations, of course, whenever I can. I'm just going around saying, I am healed. I am healthy. I am healing. My foot is healed. That's been really, really helpful. And I just think that these are things you can almost just do in your day-to-day life. You know, you can do it whilst you're brushing your teeth. You can do it while you're on the toilet. You can do it while you're going for a walk. It doesn't need to be dedicated time and effort to do your affirmations. I just think say them when you can, because the more we can override that sort of 80% of negative thoughts that's very normal for human beings to have, the more we can override that with positive thoughts, they will start to trickle into our subconscious and become more of our reality. Then I've been taking turmeric. Now it's interesting because I did turmeric, a very high dose for about 12 weeks. And then another friend of mine, Sally Jacks, she's also been on the podcast. She has become very much an expert in iron deficiency and low ferritin levels. And she was the one that sort of started me on my journey of understanding that my ferritin levels were very low, going back many years ago now. And of course, since then, I've had 3 iron infusions, but I've done podcasts on all this, so I won't get into all of that. But she messaged me when I did an Instagram post about all these things that I've done for healing and said, do you know that studies have shown that turmeric really reduces our iron levels? And I've actually been looking up on this morning, and yes, studies are showing that. So I was like, oh, I've been doing a lot of turmeric. So that's not good for me because I'm very prone to my iron levels, particularly my ferritin levels being low. So I absolutely have stopped that now. But turmeric is very anti-inflammatory, very good for healing. And that's why I've been using it. But I am going to stop that now. I've also been taking my daily collagen. Now, any of you that have listened to the podcast very regularly will know that I love Rejuvenated collagen shots. Rejuvenated is such a lovely company. Catherine, who owns Rejuvenators, has been on the podcast before talking about the benefits of collagen, and it's a family-owned company and they do all sorts of collagen supplements. They do a vegan one, a vegetarian one, they do a marine-based one, which is what I take, and they are just fantastic for your skin, for your hair, for your nails, but also for healing as well. Now, I do have a discount code for you if you want to take some collagen. I always take mine at night. I mix it in with some powdered magnesium. Okay, so it's super simple. You just go to rejuvenated.com. So that's their website. Order anything you want to order on there. Like I say, I go for the collagen shots to really help to plump and firm the skin. And when I don't take it, I really notice a difference in my face. But like I say, I've been taking it to help with the rejuvenation of my skin on my foot with my healing. You just use the code DC. So a D and a C, like Danielle Collins, DC, and you get 10% off at checkout. So it's DC and you go to rejuvenated.com. Okay, so let's move on to my next point. So just getting my notes back here. Okay, so my next one is emotional healing books. Now, a really lovely book that I've been using is called The Secret Language of Your Body by Inna Segal. Now, this is fantastic because it pretty much will list every ailment in there and every part of your body. And when there's an issue and a certain ailment that comes up, what emotions are underneath that? So whether those emotions have caused it or whether those emotions are just part of it, either way, it tells you how to have awareness of that and then how to heal those emotions. So there's certain things that you can do and certain things that you can say to really clear out those emotions. So I found that books have been really helpful for me, and that one in particular. So next thing I've been doing is seeing Shana, my chiropractor. She's in Bradford and Avon, which is just outside Bath in the UK, where I live. And she has been helping me to keep my body in check because, of course, I was hobbling with a big plaster and a big medical shoe on for sort of 6 to 10 weeks. And then now, of course, I'm walking, but things are tenser and tighter than they usually would be. And of course, that would happen if you have changed the anatomy of your foot and you have been lying down more than usual and you have been walking in a slightly more imbalanced way than usual. So that's been fantastic. I also went to a really lovely class where we did some moon meditation, and I'm just going to find the name of the lady because I am actually going to another workshop with her tomorrow. So it's at Robin's Yoga Studio, which is a yoga studio in Bath that I love going to. And her name is Elisa Celeste. And I went to a full moon meditation, and this is quite early into my healing. So it's probably maybe 7 weeks into my healing. And we had to actually write down things that we want to let go of. And as I was writing, I just couldn't stop. I was writing and writing and writing, the scribbliest writing you've ever seen, and just what I need to let go of. And then we literally had like a little bowl and a candle and we would burn it. And I found that really, really therapeutic, such an easy thing to do. But it was so nice just to have that safe space to actually go, what do I need to release? And this is how I'm going to release it, because I know that my healing comes with a lot of emotion. And my issue that I've had with my foot comes with a lot of emotion. And, you know, although this emotion is not up on the surface, it's very deep, deep down. I know the more I can have awareness of this and let it go, the better my healing process will be. I've, of course, been kept up with my acupuncture. So Melanie Leeson is my acupuncturist in Bath, who's fantastic. And I see her once a month anyway, but that's been really good. And we've not actually acupunctured the foot since my surgery because it is so sensitive for that. But we've been working on the other foot, which I've been finding super, super interesting. So working on the other foot actually can have healing benefits for the healing foot. I've been doing journaling, so not a huge amount of journaling. So I'd love to say I'm in this amazing practice where I get up each day and I do loads of journaling. Often I'm just grabbing my journal as soon as I get up, going into the bathroom, locking the door. For 1 minute, I am just scribbling down affirmations, scribbling down what I'm thankful for, and that's it. And I find that that's a really good way to start the day. I don't do it every day, but it is super helpful to do and something I would definitely recommend. And what I would say with the things that I'm sharing is I do realize that some of the things that I am talking about are not available to everyone. I realize I'm in a privileged position where I am able to do a lot of these things. However, what I'm also sharing is things that can be done by everyone very easily and for free as well. And things like affirmations and journaling are super, super helpful tools for really working on releasing emotion, for feeling that sense of gratitude and really healing at a very deep level. Breath work. I went to an amazing breath work class with my friend Shanti, and that was at Robin's Yoga Studio as well. And Shanti is such a good breath work facilitator, and it was really interesting. There was a very strong theme for me throughout the breath work that was coming up that I was really able to release. And I was realizing that so much of my foot, well, I thought a lot of my foot healing was connected to things to do with my work. I realize when I've been doing a lot of this healing, it's connected to things much, much deeper, so much more ancestral, which has been really interesting. And when I say ancestral, I'm talking even past lives, all sorts. So this is an amazing journey. And actually, I'm looking forward to going to Robin's Yoga Studio tomorrow because I'm doing a meditation ceremony with cacao. So you drink some lovely cacao, heart opener, you do some meditation around that. There's a crystal bowl sound bath. So that's going to be amazing and really keep this journey going. I've also been doing a little bit of self-Reiki. So you may remember a couple of years ago, I did my level 1 and level 2 Reiki training. And again, I knew that I wasn't going to use this one-to-one on people. I wanted to integrate this into my teachings, into everything I share with Face Yoga and business coaching and all of that. but also using it on myself as well. So it's just been super simple what I've been doing. I have just been harnessing Reiki energy. So just imagining a white light coming from the sky down through my head, through my shoulders, through my arms, into my hands, and just using my hands and putting them over, just above, or actually touching my foot and allowing that Reiki energy to heal. I've also been massaging my scar. So I've been using a really nice oil by Almora Botanica, and I've done lots of work in the past with Almora. They're fantastic. And there's a really nice restorative night oil, which has got lots and lots of healing ingredients. Many of you might know of bio oil, which is also a very good oil for scar massage healing. This is very, very similar to that, but it has even more beneficial ingredients in it. So I've been massaging that in a couple of times a day as well, because it's really important to not let that scar tissue build up. In my early days of not being able to go for any walks, so I probably wasn't able to go for a walk for about 10 weeks. And a daily walk is absolutely my non-negotiable. So I have 3 non-negotiables. If you've listened to the podcast regularly, you will know that they are yoga, face yoga, and walking. And every day, whatever happens, whatever comes, I will try and do those 3 things. But of course, I haven't been able to do the walk for those first 10 weeks. I am back to doing that now. So I had a very old exercise bike, and I got this probably about a year ago. Actually, I tell you when I got it about a year and a half ago when I had an injection in my foot. So I completely forgot I did have that as well. So that was another thing that we tried for my foot. So we tried to do an anti-inflammatory injection, which was not successful, unfortunately. But I had a little bit of time where I couldn't walk then as well. So I got an exercise bike for, I think, about £10 or £15 secondhand from somebody. And so I was using that. Now, I wasn't able to use it for the first 6 weeks, but probably weeks 6 to 10, I would use it every day and do 15 to 30 minutes. So that was great to start to strengthen my legs again. The other thing I've been trying to do now, is another reminder that I'm going to do this straight after the podcast because I haven't been doing it as much as I would like to, is grounding. Now, I talked to you about how helpful it was when I was walking on the sand in Cape Verde. And if you don't know Cape Verde, by the way, it's a little island off Africa, very, very lovely. But just going out barefoot on the grass. And although I can't walk very far barefoot at the moment, just standing on the grass and letting those really healing energies from the ground penetrate up into my foot. And it's actually been proven to be really, really beneficial. There's so many studies being done about grounding, just going barefoot on the earth and how that can really help our overall well-being. So I'm going to do that afterwards. I'm going to do that and I'm going to do a cold plunge in my foot. So the other thing I've been doing is a little bit of swimming. I haven't done a huge amount, just now and again. I just tend to go in the swimming pool, do like 5 or 10 lengths, and that's only really been the last 2 weeks. I've also been going in sauna as well and just really sweating out some of those toxins, which has been super helpful. And the most important thing I've done, and the final thing I'm going to share with you, is practicing patience. Now, of everything that I've done, absolutely practicing patience is the number one thing. I do know it might take a number of months still, and that's okay. And the more I can just literally step in, excuse the pun, to patience, the better. So that is my goal. Just patient, and know in time, I will be fully healed. I'll be wearing my high heels. I mean, I'm 5'11", so I only wear a 2-inch high heel anyway. But I will be wearing high heels. I'll be wearing strappy sandals. I'll be running around barefoot again. I just know I will, but I know I have to practice patience. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me know. Tag me on Instagram. Message me if you enjoyed the podcast. I love hearing from you. Lots of love, and I'll chat to you again next week. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you'd like more information on face yoga or you'd like to become a face yoga teacher, just head to our website faceyogaexpert.com for more information. If you'd like to do a regular, structured daily face yoga program to get the best results, you can either use one of my apps, just search Danielle Collins on your app store, or you can use my book, just search Danielle Collins Face Yoga on Amazon. And thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.